What's up, everybody, and welcome back to HOA MMA. AJ, how the hell are you, man? Epic weekend. Let's hear how you're doing.
Well, easily the greatest night of fights that I've probably ever been able as a fan across any combat sports that I've ever watched. And I'm still kind of blown away. I'm still blown away because my expectations were very high, very, very high, just just off the quality of the matchmaking alone.
Mhm.
Any expectations I had of UFC 300 were surpassed clearly in so many ways. When only really one fight didn't really catch fire, didn't really catch fire like for me, but it was interesting in another way, which we'll also talk about later on. When outside of one fight, every fight, every fight delivered for me personally in a way, and then we've had and on these century cards they are marked by these historic moments. UFC 100, Dan Henderson with the H bomb when he lays out Bisping. UFC 200 with Amanda Nunes, you know,
Yeah.
winning the belt. It's like, and then 300 is like, what moment was free UC 300 was going to have it, and it's had its and it's definitely had its moment, but it also had moments,
Right.
and it's everything in terms of what I love about MMA. Everything I love about the sport was on full display on Saturday night, and I'm still just amazed by how good, how special that night was, and how lucky I felt to watch it.
Yeah, that's a really good way to sum it up. You can argue that we walked away with from UFC 300 with two iconic moments in the sports history now. Um, and if you could be a bigger star than you were going into the fight, Max Holloway maybe just took another step. And the legend of Alex Pereira keeps growing in ways that we didn't think was possible for a guy with only 10 fights in the company. It's just incredible what they accomplished at UFC 300. AJ, we've got a lot to discuss. It's definitely one of those things that, I'm still thinking about it like you are. You get to witness some great, just something great, all-time great, and it just kind of envelops your mind for the next couple of days, and you sit there and go back and think, how close was Charles Oliveira? How close was Rakic to these, you go back and you think, wow, Diego Lopez, is he a superstar? There's so many questions, and we'll obviously get into it. Is Jalen Turner an idiot? There's so many things you can ask yourself about this card, and we're going to get into it, but there's just those lingering thoughts that go with you as time goes on about such an epic card, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. Let's dive right in, man. We open with the prelims. Prelims started off hot. Davison Figueiredo gets the rear naked choke on Cody Garbrandt. The result is Davison Figueiredo wins, but dang, man, I thought Cody was moving well. His speed was on display. He just got caught trying to get up and make too much of a quick move, and he got caught right back down. Cody lost, but at the same time, I thought, dang, man, this guy looks pretty solid against a really, really good fighter. What were your thoughts on Davison Figueiredo tapping out Cody Garbrandt in the night's opener?
I mean, that fight was the perfect way to kick off the card. Two former champions opening up this historic night, and both guys rose to the occasion. For me, that's probably the best Cody has looked in years. Even now in a loss, that's probably the best Cody Garbrandt we've seen in a very, very long time. And he was looking great. Like you said, like his movement was on point. His speed, like his hand speed was there. And he was catching Figgy. He was catching him and he was rocking him. And he was being smart. He wasn't engaging in brawls. He was being he was picking his shots very, very well. Figueiredo managed to weather that storm at times and was able to was obviously able to obviously getting close and was able to implement his grappling, which he has a clear advantage over in terms of skill. But even at first, Cody was finding it very, very well. He was being patient at first, but then he made literally the first real mistake he made in the fight. Figgy made him pay, and that's what happens when you're against if you are a elite level grappler and your grappler gets someone who isn't, and you see one opening, you take that shot and you obviously make it count. And that's what Figgy did. And Figgy has shown that he probably should have moved up. If it wasn't for the Brandon Moreno like rivalry, he probably should have moved up to bantamweight a long time ago, because he looks great.
Yeah,
he looks really, really good at 135 pounds. But also for Cody, cool. Yes, he lost, and yes, he got dominated in one area of the game. But we already know how great Figure he is, because he is obviously a former champion. He's a champion level fighter, and so is Cody. Well, Cody was a long time ago, but Cody has still shown that there is still some fight in him. And considering the depth of talent at 135 pounds, there are some interesting fights for him moving. Because at the end of the day, Cody still has a massive name, and he will get big fights. And if he's able to build on this and kind of keep this level of like consistency, we could see him 2-3 fights maybe climbing back into that ranked territory. Right. I'm very, very optimistic for him, but again, it's a very impressive showing for Figgy, and I feel like it's time in terms of for what's obviously next for Figgy, because due to his age, give him young, give him for former champ against former champ. Whoever wins kind of gets really into that title picture.
Right back in, they get into that title mix. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. If breaking down kind of what you said, and if it obviously comes to fruition, we'll talk about it a little bit more. If Jan gets that fight, I would look at where Cody excelled, because Jan has a quality background in boxing and things like that also. And Cody was able to touch Figueiredo. He was able to use the leg kicks. Some of that stuff, we could see Jan use to his advantage, because obviously Figueiredo's got the advantage in the grappling. It's going to be the same story there. Can Jan stay away from that? I liked what Cormier said in that situation where Cody tried to explode off the bottom and exposed his back. Tiny things build up to getting out of those positions. And Cody, being the explosive guy he is, just didn't build up the blocks to get to the point where he could have got away. If he escapes, we don't know what could happen. He could have, that could have went to a decision, and it could have been close. Tough night for Cody. I just really liked what I saw from him, and a great win for Deiveson Figueiredo, who's right in the mix now at bantamweight. AJ, next fight on the card, Bobby Green. Man, looked really good. Jim Miller took a beating from Bobby Green. Bobby Green's one of those guys. It just feels like there's not enough consistency. Some nights we get to see this Bobby Green, and then other nights we get to see the guy who got just slept by Jalen Turner. What do you think it is about Bobby Green that we don't get that consistency? Is it his style? Is it just, is there something that you can point to that Bobby Green just hasn't been consistent throughout his career? When he has a shit ton of talent, you could just see it oozing from him some nights. What's the Bobby Green missing piece, I guess?
It's not necessarily for me a missing piece. It's just more of his ceiling. Like, Bobby Green's very good. Like, he's very good, and he is a tough out. We've seen him, if you look a few years ago when he had a fight against Rafael Fiziev. He gave him a really, really good fight. He really, really pushed, especially in round 3 when first 2 rounds, Fiziev was kind of doing what Bobby Green does to other people, where he's just too quick, he's too sharp, and he has a lot more skill than Green on the feet. But as Fiziev began to fade in round 3, Bobby Green really started to come around, obviously turn it on. When we see Bobby Green face against elite level talent, like the likes of Fiziev, the likes of Jalen Turners, the likes of even Dustin Poirier, where they fought like a very, 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 very long time ago, most times he will get beat. We see him against people like, let's just say like a Grant Dawson, who I thought was reaching to that elite level, but he isn't there yet. The likes of even now Tony Ferguson, who's kind of really declined a lot. That's kind of where his level's at. He's kind of in that 15 to 10 range. But as you go more towards the Italian guys who are going to kick on, that's kind of where we see Bobby Green. There is a big gap between the elites and if you're like a fringe contender, let's just say. And to kind of go into this fight, Jim Miller's been on a great run of form, but he hasn't beaten top level opposition. And Bobby Green is easily his toughest opponent in a very, very long time, and it showed. But then, even then, in the first round, Miller actually,
1 second.
like, even in round one, Miller actually had his moments because he rocked Bobby, and he really did. And it kind of felt like, he's won at 100, he's won at 200. Was he gonna go and kind of cap it off with the trifecta, as it were? Bobby managed to obviously weather that storm, ride it out, and then in rounds 2 and 3, he literally just put it on Jim. Like, he put it on him. Like, there was just claret everywhere. There was just like he was bathing in Miller's blood, basically. And Jim Miller's tough because most people in those situations, you were probably going to get stopped. And Jim Miller's 40, I think 40 or 42, there or thereabouts. And for him to be able to survive and kind of make it to the end of round 3 is kind of a more victory in itself for someone. Then for months and months on end, when the moment the build up 300 was coming on, in terms of the hardcore fans was, are we going to see Jim Miller on this card? And then he made it, and it wasn't as if he literally just got slept out. He basically got knocked out, unconscious or anything. He gave himself a good account of himself, and he's had his moment now. He's done 100, 200, 300. I'd imagine him moving forward is that he's probably I think he's not far off from having 50 fights within the UFC. I think once if he's able to hit 50, I think that's when he'll probably call time. As for Bobby Green, he's kind of made it clear he wants to come over here to obviously my side of the pond to fight Paddy. I don't see him getting that fight, and there's a reason why, because of obviously the next fight that we're going to talk about. But this kind of win for him now, winning on a historic card, it will give Bobby a solid fight. But considering that the last time he fought against another contender, he got beaten very decisively, you'd imagine he's probably going to have to fight one of these up and comers. But I don't really think of a name for him right now. But again, just an amazing performance for him because it was vintage Bobby Green, just like movement and pinpoint striking.
Yeah, that's well done. Good for Bobby Green. Good overall. Next fight was the women's strawweight fight. Jessica Andrade beats Marina Rodriguez in a split decision. Very close fight. There was times where I thought Marina looked really good on the feet, and then she would get taken down, and you could just see that she was kind of out of water in those situations. Jessica, gets another win over somebody who is considered a contender. What are your thoughts on this fight?
Like you said, Marina looked really good early on because she was using her range amazingly well. She was literally catching Andrade coming in, hitting her with some really hard shots. Like you can literally hear them land on her, and you can hear the sound connecting. But Andrade managed to shake them off and was able to get in close. And when she did, and was able to grab her down, as you said, Marina was a fish out of water, not water, but and she was able to use her grappling skills to show that, okay, on the feet, this fight's probably like a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
On the feet, which And in terms of the way Marina was fighting, you probably give the edge to her just about, even though Andrade did have a moment. But when you're facing get someone who are showing they are better kickboxing than you on the night, you make it MMA. You make it MMA and you mix it up, and that's literally what Andrade did. And it kind of really goes to show, as much as Andrade has been losing in the past few fights, the quality of opponents who have actually beaten her are at the very, very top. And this is across two different weight classes as well.
Right.
You know, Marina is good, but it kind of shows that you have to be at a certain level in order to beat someone who is as experienced as Andrade, who's still only around 31 or 32.
Yeah, she's relatively young. Let me double check, but yeah,
who's been around for a very, very long time, who has top level experience. And when you get faced against someone like that, you really, 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 really need to show something. And Marina just didn't do that just enough. And that again, it just kind of just goes to show that Andrade is always going to be around the top level. It's just going to take someone who is of a championship level in order to get past her.
Yeah, Jessica's 32, so yeah, she's still got some time. She did touch up Marina a couple times on the feet, but overall, I thought that was a fun fight. I thought that was the two contrasting styles of Jessica Andrade, the tank versus a kind of sniper in Marina Rodriguez. But let's move on to Jalen Turner versus Money Moicano. This is where my money took a massive beating. Jalen Turner drops Moicano and walks away just like an idiot. The Herb Dean I thought it was Herb, but they just stood there and pointed because Moicano was getting back up, and it was one of the all-time flubs. I mean, that's what it was. It was really bad. And then in the second round, Moicano gets the TKO on Jalen Turner, kind of how we talked about in the chat. How embarrassing would it be if Moicano comes back and beats him here? And Moicano looked really good in round 2 after taking that big punch. What were your thoughts, AJ? I mean, obviously we know the embarrassment of the first round, but Moicano turning it on in the second round big time.
Fumble of the year. Easy.
It's just crazy.
It's fumble of the year because if you watch Jalen Turner fights, if you watch him over a period of time, he's never done that. More times, if Jalen Turner drops you, he's going to follow in and he's going to make sure that there is literally no doubt it's over. Maybe because he thought it's UFC 300. If he feels like if I land on Moicano, he's going to be out. And he probably thought, he's basically done. I've slept him. I'm going to walk away and I'm going to have to walk off moment.
He wanted that 300K.
Yeah, he wanted the 300K. Unless you're Mark Hunt, don't do that.
Nope.
Just let's just literally just don't do that. We saw a few years ago with Sean O'Malley against Almeida. He was dropping him, he was walking away, and as much as it looked like he was out, he wasn't out. You make sure without any doubt that once you have someone hurt, you basically go and put them away. And all credit to Moicano, because Moicano was getting beat up on the feet and was getting dropped bad, even though he did have his time in the first round when it came to the grappling.
I mean, the very first move, the leg kick to the stomach, or the kick to the stomach, folded him pretty much on his feet. I mean, he was folded on his feet. I mean, just crazy.
Exactly. He was getting pieced up, even though he was having his moments in terms of the grappling. He was getting beat up. He was getting beat up bad, and he got rocked bad. He got rocked really bad, and you would have thought in round 2, Turner is going to be a bit more dialed in now. He's going to go and catch him, and then that's when he's going to correct the mistake, as it were. But Moicano recovered. He was able to take Turner down and was able to rein in some efficient ground and pound. That's basically what I'll say, because it wasn't him just swinging wildly. He was making sure he was catching him in the right places.
Accurate.
And I think Jalen Turner was a bit broken at that point mentally. After that, I've gone and made a massive mistake now, and now I'm in the one position where I don't want to be, and then you know, my kind was able to just really rain down on him with some accurate and efficient ground and pound. He kills, like, in terms of the post fight speech, he fucking kills it.
Incredible post fight promo. Incredible.
Like, you know, Chael Sonnen somewhere is probably proud of
big Moicano guy.
Big guy, because it's like, as much as for me, I enjoy the sport because, you know, I actually enjoy, you know, like the competition of it all. But we understand now, part of it is a business. The UFC is a big business. You have to go and sell yourself. And Moicano is letting his personality come out, and he's killing it. And
great.
Just because of that alone, he probably will get Paddy. And that right there is a hard fight for Paddy, because Paddy is predominantly a grappler, and Moicano is an elite level grappler. That's going to be a very interesting fight. And also, Paddy likes to talk. Moicano likes to talk. Them two are going to sell that. Them two are going to sell that fight a lot. And Moicano's going to become one of those fan favorites because, you know, Money Moicano wants basic money, and he's going to get put in big fights.
Yeah.
And it's easy for when you're putting on performances like that. You know, if you can know that you can overcome adversity and you're able to kill it afterwards. No matter how far Moicano goes in terms of rankings, he will be in a lot of big fights for a very long time in the near future.
Yep, well said. Yeah, it just felt like Jalen Turner, just after he didn't put Moicano away, just felt like he had lost. He just kind of lost the will to fight. I mean, the second round was just dominant by Moicano. But let's move on, AJ, to the prelims. Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is just beyond electric. That guy is incredible. That uppercut combo that he put on Youssef was nasty. The ground and pound afterward was fantastic. This guy, I mean, I don't, you know, what more can you say about a guy? And then then the call out afterward, he wants that fight back against Evlov. Wow. What a night for Diego Lopez. Thoughts on this fight?
Any talk about this guy being a fluke? Done.
Oh, God.
Done. So Sadiq Youssef is good. Is very good. He's very durable. We saw against Barboza. Barboza really kind of old man him in their last fight. You know, he is really solid all round, and he was outside of Evloev. This was going to be, how good is Lopez really? He's facing against someone who has been ranked for a while. His only recent losses have been Barboza and Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen is
two great losses.
Two really good losses, even though he should have won against Barboza. Like, he had him dead right. Obviously, we're not going to go there. And Lopez goes out there and just blows him away. And it was looking solid in the first open exchanges. It was very interesting because, obviously, first of all, Lopez is a massive featherweight, first of all. And literally, like, the first time they actually like engage, that one uppercut, it's like he has unreal power for someone at 145 pounds. It's like he's able to find opening. That he reminds me of Charles in a way. He reminds me of Charles in the sense that on the feet, if he's able to catch you, like he doesn't. The way, like the when we saw Charles rising up when he was beating like the likes of Chandler and Poirier and Gaethje, when Charles lands on these people, like, is it like the way these people like react to it? It's like this right here does feel natural, and that's what it seems like when it as to a certain degree with Lopez. When Lopez rocked like I've never seen Sadiq Youssef get rocked like that and drop down like that ever.
No, he got dropped.
He got dropped bad, and once Lopez smells blood, he's like a shark. He goes in for the kill. Like, he goes in for the kill, and he makes sure that I'm gonna get you out of there. He's so dynamic, and it isn't just as if, okay, he's this crazy aggressive striker. He's a grappler. Like, he can grapple with you. He can show that he, like, if it goes anywhere, he can finish you anywhere within the fight at any point.
It's wild.
I just can't, like, I'm so like impressed with him. I'm so impressed with him. And the fact that he actually wants to get Mozart back, that kind of shows that he's serious.
I'll tell you what,
He's serious.
that fight. I mean, would you be upset? I mean, I would assume that'll probably main event like a fight night, but man, that feels like it's got to be on a pay-per-view.
If I am in the Mosvar camp, I'll be very annoyed at that, because I'm kind of looking, well, I've just been Alan. I'm looking here, like, and
yeah,
don't get me wrong. In terms from a narrative standpoint, I get that, and I wouldn't be against that at all. I'm just looking at it from the view of, obviously, for someone, if I go out there and I beat someone within the top 5, I don't really want to fight someone below me at that point. I want to either be title eliminator or the belt. And
you're not wrong.
And that kind of makes sense for someone who has been undefeated. And I will say this for Lopez: as much as he wants that back, that fight will basically always be there, like, regardless. Now he's been someone within the top 15. Now it's top 10. Fight someone within the top 10, because think about it. You've basically smoked someone in round 1, so you can easily turn around again this year. If you go out there and you smoke someone within the top 10, one, you're going to be an even bigger star than you basically already are, because you're basically becoming like a fan favorite. And if Mozart no matter if Mozart wins or loses his next fight, you two are still going to be pretty close within the rankings. That fight is there. That fight will be there. I just feel like it may be, in terms of for what Lopez's wants, it may be just a tad too early.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. Based on the rankings right now, I know they probably haven't updated. Movsar is only 8 in the division right now.
8?
He's number 8.
He beat Arnold Allen, though.
And Arnold Allen's number 9. So he's not that far off, really. Who would you give Diego then? Because the person ahead of Movsar is actually this is adding everybody in. My bad.
Do you know what? Yeah. Who
would you give him?
And this may be a dangerous one. I'll give him Josh Emmett.
I was actually going to ask if that's who you thought he could fight, is Josh Emmett, because that's who came to mind. And yeah. Josh Emmett's a hard night out, but that's a hell of a fight. That feels like a pay-per-view fight, at least a pay-per-view prelim fight. Okay, that's a good one. I like that. I like that a lot.
You can put that on. That can open any main card on. Any
yeah, no, I know. I agree. That feels like a pay-per-view quality fight for sure. But no, I like that a lot. Let's move on though. Kayla Harrison dominates Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison looks really good for that weight class, that division. If she can consistently get to that weight, looks like she didn't have any major issues getting down.
No issues.
She did have 9 weeks to do it, so we don't know if she's always going to have that amount of time to make it work. But I mean, Holly Holm, she's a legend. She's a Hall of Famer. That might be the curtain call, because it just wasn't close. There was no resistance for Kayla that night, and to me, Kayla looks like she'd probably beat the 2 champion contenders right now based on what we saw. Her style is just a problem for both of those ladies. What are your thoughts on Kayla? Obviously, we didn't get to see any resistance against her. What were your thoughts?
Before I get to Kayla, that was the ghost of Holly Holm, and that isn't me saying that as a knock on in terms of Kayla's performance, because I'll get to that in just a second. If I'm in Holly Holm's corner, I would question, why would you even want to even try to grapple with Kayla at all? Don't get me wrong. You managed to get the trip once. You got that once, cool. Leave it, just leave it there as one. Leave it there as
Right.
one. You fought against someone in Ronda Rousey who has that judoka background before. And how did you beat her? By keeping it on the feet, keeping it distance, bouncing in and out. Granted, she's obviously 42 now, so maybe that kind of speed isn't there, and be able to kind of get that timing off. But your fundamentals are still there. And I feel like she went away from what made her good. But we've seen it for a while now that, she clearly isn't the same fighter that she was a long time ago.
Right.
It'd be kind of good for her to kind of call it away now, because at this point now, she's literally just getting beat.
Yeah.
Now then, if I'm going on to Kayla Harrison, she's a huge 135er.
Massive woman.
Like in terms of like her power and her strength, that's going to cause everyone problems. That's going to cause everyone problems because once she's able to grab a hold of you, especially in the clinch, it's literally her world. And she literally ragdolled Holly. She ragdolled her. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. And I know there were a lot of questions in terms of her coming into UFC. Is she ready for this? She's fought against Cans in the PFL. Well, she has lost once. And now to get someone who managed to keep it on the feet and kind of expose her limited striking, per se.
Yeah.
That being said, now, considering that there is a clear lack of depth in this division, Kayla Harrison is going to bring eyeballs to it. She looked very impressive. She probably, I know I said last week that she may have to wait for the winner of Pena against Raquel Pennington. That is not going to happen now. She's probably going to go straight in there and probably fight for the belt. She probably is going to fight for the belt, and the UFC are probably hoping for that, because if she does, if she does beat Raquel, which I think still isn't a foregone conclusion, by the way, but I would definitely go lean towards her. 2025, you will see Amanda Nunes come back.
Yeah, dude, but what? Here's the thing, and we know they have a history, and we know that Amanda Nunes left the team because of Kayla, yada yada, back and forth, whatever you want to call. You're upset that somebody didn't call you out when you're retired and you took yourself out of the pool. You're not active. Why would she think that you want? To me, that video just didn't make a lot of sense. As great as Amanda is, it just felt off base.
I would disagree with it because
she's retired,
and I'm going to get to that. This is kind of just my personal opinion. I feel like she retired because she kind of looked at, okay, she was really originally going to fight Juliana in the trilogy, and she wanted to kind of like okay, I just want to say this once and for all that I'm just better than her. I'll 2-1 her, and then after that, there wasn't anything for her now. After that, she's just coming back because one is it is a big name in Kayla Harrison. Two, they do have that kind of history, as you said. But I think most of all, she doesn't want to go right out to be like, okay, cool. There is a big fight that's kind of enough to kind of bring me back, and I just want to show everyone that I am basically still the best out there, and that's literally all it is. That's
then fine,
all it is.
But then say you're unretiring to fight Kayla. It's not Kayla's fault that you made the video out of the blue.
Of course, but we both know how this works. Kayla's probably not going to fight for the belt until maybe, I'll say, probably MSG in November. So for her to say it now for a fight that's probably like a year away, it doesn't make sense.
But then what's the point of the video then?
It's to plant seeds. It's a plant seed. Bro, do you know it? It's
the same thing though.
No, but think about it. It's worked, yeah, because one, it plants seeds. It has people talking about it, like as much as me and you're talking about it right now. Other people are talking about it right now. So when it comes into lead up of Kayla fighting for the belt, the narrative is, if you win, are you going to get Amanda? People are going to talk about Amanda. It's going to build it.
Okay,
I do understand that. Okay, it's like, why are you doing this now? But it's kind of more of the long game of things. But it can be very annoying. But I can see why she's done it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. I just would rather you, like, instead of you being upset that she didn't call you out, especially when you didn't unretire, it's difficult. Because then what if Kayla calls her out and Amanda doesn't come back? I'm retired. I'm not fighting anymore. Then you just are wasting your call out.
True.
And I think it goes both ways. I hope they fight. I personally hope they fight next year, yada yada. But I just think if I'm Amanda, I'm not upset somebody didn't call me out when I'm not in the active. I don't know. It can go either way. I get it, but good night for Kayla. Obviously, we'll see where it goes from here. Hopefully, she at least adds a little more intrigue to that division right now at the top. Next fight, Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. AJ, Calvin Kattar, he was at the fight. I don't really know what he did at the fight. Aljamain looked really good. Looked solid. He looked. I mean, he was put together at that weight class, at featherweight. Looked really good. Beat up Calvin Kattar. Took him down eight or nine times. It was impressive. What's up with Calvin Kattar? Did he not expect Aljo to wrestle?
I think, and again, it kind of just shows that people's opinion or perception of Aljamain kind of overlooks how good he is. Because before getting iced last year, he was undefeated in 9 fights. Give or take, there was a DQ in there as well. He is such a effective grappler, a very, very effective grappler. And don't get me wrong, this isn't a fight that I will go back and watch. It wasn't really the most fan friendly compared to a lot of the other fights that we have mentioned and that we are going to talk about. But for him to move up a weight class against someone when he has Calvin, if this fight stays on the feet, probably would have lit him up all day long, and Aljo was able to neutralize him. He literally pitched out a perfect game. In terms, you could probably say out of all of the performances, outside of one, he probably had the most pitch perfect performance out of anyone on the card. That in terms, arguably in terms of. He managed to negate his opponent flawlessly and came out relatively unscathed. Like he executed his game plan to such a T. Kamike had literally had no answer for him. Even the times when KO managed to get up or he got back up, Aljo is right there with pressure. He has very awkward striking on the feet. His reach for someone of his size, he has very long arms, which kind of helps in a way. And there is a blueprint to go out and beat Aljamain. You have to be a very dynamic kickboxer and able to create openings and catch him before Aljamain is able to grapple you, because we saw with obviously Sandhagen. Sandhagen was this very dynamic striker. But if Aljamain is able to grab you, it's literally over. It's really over if he's able to grab you. So and he looks very healthy at 145 pounds. He even looks stronger. Like the way that he hit the power driver on Calvin Kattar.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Insane. He is
strong, dude. He's super strong.
He's going to be a problem for a lot of people now. At 145 pounds, but at the same time, there are a lot of fighters, especially higher up in the rankings, who will give Aljamain a lot of problems. So it'd be very interesting to see what kind of opponent they match up with him next, considering that he's a former champion and he's fought in rank number 8. Normally, you would fight someone within a little bit higher than that. So I'll be quite interested to see what kind of fight they go out and give him next. But just
who's more likely to get the fight? Emmett, Yair, Ortega. Who do you think gets the fight? Those guys need an opponent.
Yair will give Aljamain a lot of problems.
Yeah, he would. But have we seen Yair deal with somebody who will just tackle you repeatedly, pressure like that?
Ortega.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of.
I know what you mean.
Yes,
but in terms of the grappling, Ortega and Aljo would be very interesting from a grappling like point of view. That would be a very interesting. It probably wouldn't be the most friendly, like fan friendly fight, but especially in terms of jiu-jitsu, that would be an absolute amazing fight to watch.
Because
I wouldn't be shocked though, and this may be this kind of just came to me, and this may be a little bit left field because we just spoke about it. As much as impressive Moswa has been, he doesn't have a name. He doesn't have a name. Like he's won all these fights by on points, and for the most part, a lot of people call him boring. Even though he should have gets Arnold Allen, that he can actually strike on the feet as well. He does have an all-round game,
he looked
but
good.
he looked really good. But if he was to fight someone like Aljamain and have a form of and get a win off a former champion, especially if he was able to go out there and grab like a finish, because you think about it, Mozart's top heavy wrestling would really negate Aljamain's grappling. So that would kind of create that very interesting whose kind of skills would obviously dominate over the other. So I can see maybe Mozart getting that just to kind of say, okay, cool. If you go out there and you beat Aljamain and you have this name now that people do recognize, now, regardless if you win by finish or win by a dominant decision, you can't really be denied anymore as being a viable contender. So maybe that's something that could come out potentially.
You don't think they feed Arnold Allen to Sterling, do you? I feel like Sterling's style would be tough on Arnold Allen.
I think Allen has a fight coming up. I just can't.
Oh, he's scheduled again after the Mozart fight? I didn't see that.
I think I saw someone that he is, but I don't know if it's actually like confirmed yet. But in terms of a name, I just don't have it off my memory.
Gotcha. All right, let's move into the main event of the prelims: Yuri versus Ratchik. Yuri took a beating to start this fight. His legs were getting chopped up. He was getting touched up, and then all of a sudden the samurai spirit comes out, and he starts just blasting Ratchik, just hammering away at him. It just incredible comeback. Gets the TKO win. Great samurai spirit. I mean, there's nothing, live by the sword, die by the sword type stuff. What were your thoughts about this? This war is what it was. For as long as it lasted, it was a war.
First of all, should have been opening up the main card.
Yeah, fuck Bo Nickel.
Oh my god! All right,
dude, he sucks. He sucks.
Okay, we will basically get to that after this. Okay, you can go.
I'm just sick of the Bo Nickel shit.
You can go after him afterwards. You can go after him after this. First of all, if this was on the main card, this would have been, well, there would be no doubt the greatest main card of all time. If this fight on that by an absolute mile. But Rakic was doing everything right until everything went wrong. Because for someone who's coming off a horrible leg injury after nearly 2 years, and you're looking sharp, he's looking so fast on the feet. Really know he has really good kicks. He was like as you said, he was chewing Yuri's leg up, and even then, he was using that to be able to go up top and really catch Yuri as well. He was giving Yuri problems, and most people, if he fights anyone other than Yuri, he wins that fight in the first round because he was lighting him up.
I don't know how Yuri survived that.
But as we've seen with Yuri, it basically takes a left hook made out of fucking steel with ungodly power to basically go and put him down.
Right.
Because he was getting lit up. He wasn't even close. Like Rakic was making it technical. He wasn't engaging in Yuri. He wasn't giving Yuri a chance to get off with his dynamic power. He was keeping it range. He was chewing up. He was in and out, busting up his leg. And Yuri refused to switch to southpaw until he did later on. And when he did, he was catching. He managed to catch Rakic. And eventually, Rakic is probably thinking, I'm putting on like a bit of a clinic so far, and this guy's still coming. He's still coming, and then eventually Yuri catches him, and This is basically like the difference between the two. Rakic was making it an MMA fight, and even at times where like he did have Yuri like a little bit shaken and whatnot, he was keeping himself composed and like he wasn't taking any risks.
Right.
Yuri, on the other hand, was like, I'm gonna fight you, and eventually I'm gonna turn this into a fight. As much as this is MMA, I know that I can break you. He thought in his head, if I can eventually get through to you, I'm going to break you.
For
And
sure.
that's basically what he did. He was able to weather the storm, and it was a fucking hellacious storm. And again, when it basically came, what basically came down to, when Yuri had Rakic hurt, he put him away. He put him away because the moment he saw that Rakic was rocked, unloading on combinations, he literally threw him down
Yeah.
and passed guard and kept raining down bombs until the ref has no choice but to pull him off.
Yep.
Amazing comeback win for him. And yeah, good luck trying to fight that guy, because you have to literally put him out in order to beat him. And it so far, as much as his style fighting is probably not going to age well later on, he's literally must-see TV. Whenever there's a card and you see that Yuri is fighting, is absolute must watch. Absolute must watch. It was it's like, as you said, he basically quotes the Book of Five Rings all the time. He literally lives by the sword, and he will willingly die by the sword as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Incredible.
Incredible is right. Rakic in that first round was literally on his way to stealing that title fight from Ankalaev. He was literally on his way to stealing a title fight from Ankalaev, and Yuri just took it from him.
And if I am Rakic, if I'm him, I want to really go back out there as soon as possible, because he looked good for someone coming off a very long layoff. He looked great.
But who does he fight? Roundtree's the only guy close,
and
that he hasn't lost to or been beaten. Like,
that's the fight.
Then is the fight for Yuri Jamal Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. And then Ankalaev gets Pereira unless Pereira moves up.
We will get to that. We'll get to that. We'll basically get to that later.
What if Ankalaev's stupid enough just to stand with Alex?
We'll get to that in the main event.
All right, let's move on to the main card. Now we can officially say it. Fuck Bo Nickel. Fuck his unnecessary push. You know what? Other fighters have become super fucking popular by fighting on the prelims. We don't need this jackass beating up on Cody Brundage for no fucking reason on a main card when we have fucking warriors like Yuri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic waiting. We have it's just so fucking unnecessary. He closed the fight as like almost a minus 2,000 favorite. This shit is so unnecessary. And even then, he didn't even look good in this fight. It was so fucking boring. Fuck this guy. This isn't fucking Penn State. Fuck him. All right.
Are you done?
Go ahead. Tell me why anybody should have been impressed by a rear naked choke on Cody Brundage, who got fed to the wolves. I hope Cody got paid well.
God.
Well, he got paid.
We officially found your guy. He was gonna hate on for.
He just doesn't do it for me.
Okay, all right. Two things. First thing, I will say this, and I'm just gonna say this just for fairness. I don't blame the push on Bo himself, because at the end of the day, the UFC decide who they want to push, and they've decided to hitch that wagon on Bo Nickel. I can see why. I'm going to keep it very, very brief. As much as the UFC is his global brand, and it's been amazing at showcasing that we have fighters all over the world who can be stars, and we'll market them as such. Like, who would have thought 2 years ago Alex fucking Pereira would have main evaded this monumental card, and he doesn't speak any English, or he doesn't speak English well enough to be able to have a fluent conversation. I would say so that kind of shows towards it.
Yeah.
The UFC still want to have stars in the North American market. They have one. Well, they have one on the cusp in terms of Sean O'Malley, who is obviously who is fighting at the low weight class. Just if you just kind of wait for me here, we have people like John, Dustin, Gaethje.
Okay.
I guess even now I'll throw Conor to it, even though Conor's he's obviously from Ireland. He fights primarily over in North America, right? But those guys are aging. They kind of need new North American stars. They've got one in Sean O'Malley, who albeit fights at a low weight class. Bo Nickel, wrestling background, comes across as a very nice guy. He kind of hits that kind of middle American market. He fights at middleweight, which is more of a larger weight class. They can build him, and if he is what they think he is and becomes this next big star, especially at a bigger weight class, that kind of sets them up in terms of kind of having homegrown North American talent for that kind of pay-per-view area for the next foreseeable future. The issue with that is that with obviously people like yourself and even me, even though I don't feel the type of way that you do. I don't like when people try to force people and saying that this guy's a star because we basically say it is. We saw that with Sean, but Sean eventually won people over because he showed as he rose in competition, he was able to still have those performances. Bo's still early on in his career. I think he's 6-0, and it showed because Cody Brundage is primarily a wrestler, and very early in that fight, Bo did not want to strike with him, and that was very telling for me because we've seen in his past couple of fights, Bo has, I would say, very solid boxing, and he hasn't been afraid to go and throw his hands when he kind of feels like I don't see you as a threat. As much as I have this amazing wrestling ability, knockouts is what's going to make me a star. Knockouts what people want to go and talk about me. I'm going to throw down. Very clearly, Cody Brundage in those kind of few early exchanges made Bo realize I don't really want to throw with you. I'm gonna go safety first because as much as Brundage is a wrestler, he isn't a caliber wrestler as basically Bo Nickel is. He took him down with relative ease, even though Brundage was kind of finding it at some points. He managed to managed to go and get the finish in round 2. It wasn't anything impressive. It wasn't anything spectacular. The only thing I would take away from it now is that now it just kind of confirms that Bo has a long way to go. He has a long way to go. He's 6-0. Most people don't even get to the UFC after 6-0. So now, as much as we probably are going to still see Bo on these main event cards on big pay-per-views, I wouldn't be mad if they kind of went the Raul Hassas Jr. route where let's just put Bo on big fight nights and kind of let's just actually develop him. He's still only 28. He's still on the right side of 30, let's just say.
Yep.
Put him on still put him on big cards where obviously people are going to talk about him, but let's now give him opponents where he can actually run out his game develop. Doesn't feel like he's been forced as much. And then let's say in a year or two, maybe then he'll be by end of next year, he's ready for a top 15. And then the year after that, okay, after all this time developing him, now he's ready to kind of fight for the belt or be a top contender. And that's when he can show to say, okay, we were right by him all along. He will be this big star. It just obviously just may take some time because fight fans in general, we really don't like people being forced to say this guy's a star. And I get that, but it isn't fair on him as well because You know, he isn't the one going out there saying to UFC, you go out there and you make me a star. It's USA saying, we see something in you and we're going to push you. We've seen it with Sean, seen it with Ian Gary, even, who is now kind of really showing that he's good enough to kind of be that potential star. Bo isn't there yet. It's just going to take some time, but I'm definitely with you. This should have been on the early prelims or prelims if you had to put him on this card. It just didn't. It just didn't warrant opening night on such a big card as this. That's all.
Yep, that's totally fair. I would much prefer watching him main event a fight night card than take one of these big spots away from somebody else who deserves it.
I wouldn't even say main event a fight night. I'd say just if you just have him around the main card on the big fight night, let's say first or second fight in, and just have him there and just let him just develop over time, because if he's obviously good enough and if he puts on really good performances, the fines will eventually happen anyway.
True. That's fair. No, you're right. That's a good point. Well, we've spent enough time on that fight. Let's move on to Charles do Bronx versus Arman Sarukian. Holy shit, this was a fight. This was a fight. I thought Charles had him twice. Arman had other plans. What a battle. That dude's a monster.
He's legit. He's legit.
I thought Arman won. What did you think as the fight ended? Because I thought it was razor thin. I just gave Arman a slight edge. But what did you think?
My first thought was title eliminators need to be 5 rounds now. Like that fight, that might have been the most high-level grappling exchanges that I've seen in a very long time. That was, okay, as much as the whole kind of thing about the big feel about UFC 300 has been these iconic moments in terms of badass moments. This was a fight for the MMA purists, as it were, because it was on full show. Charles had his moments on the feet. Arman had his moments on the feet. Charles had his moments on the ground. Arman had his moments on the ground. And it came to a game of inches. As you said, it came to a game of inches because 99% of the time, if Charles grabs you in any kind of choke, it's over. It's over. And Arman looked out, like you can see in Arman's face that like he's getting squeezed here. He's getting squeezed here, and even at the end of round 3, when Charles locks in the dust, I'm thinking, oh, he's done. Like he's gonna tap at some point. Arman showed, for as much as he's great technically all over, because his wrestling in terms of neutralizing Charles at times was very, very impressive, and even him making Charles hesitant to really be wild and exchange like openly as much as Charles has basically done before was very impressive as well. He's shown that, okay, he has all of his great ability, but he's tough as well. He's tough as well, because not anyone manages to escape a Charles submission attempt. Not just anyone.
Twice. I thought the ref at one point, I thought the ref was going in to pull Charles off because I thought Arman was out, and then Arman goes like this and thumbs ups the ref. And I'm like, oh my God, how are you alive right now? This is insane.
Like
incredible
chess match. And in terms of the result, I picked Charles. Charles is one of my favorite guys to watch. I felt Arman was able to, and for me, it literally just came to Arman was able to control Charles enough, as well as if damage at times, and was able to negate Charles enough. And even though Charles had the more eye-catching moments, like in terms of who was going to finish the fight, Charles had those moments. I just felt outside of those as well, Charles was just edged out just enough for Arman to get the win, but it was close. But I wish that fight was 5 rounds. Like from now on, if you're going to be fighting for a belt, you need to be able to go through a 5-round fight.
That's fair.
5 round fight, and also for us as fans, who knows what would have happened in rounds 4 and 5? Who knows what basically would have happened? But as much as I enjoy this fight, I've got a lot to talk about the next one. And I'll be waiting.
Last thing on this one, thoughts on Arman turning down the Islam fight on relatively short notice?
Smart.
Yeah, it's the right move. And then Dustin steps in. You know, yes. Dustin's gonna hit the guillotine against Islam to win the title. I'm calling it right now.
You're gonna lose a lot of money that night, bro.
Hey,
you're gonna lose a lot of money.
When he hits it though, when he hits the guillotine to beat Islam, money time. All right, this is the big one. Holy shit, baddest motherfucker alive, Max Holloway.
Ever.
Right here.
Ever.
Fucking 10 seconds to go. Literally the baddest motherfucker alive. Incredible moment. Max Holloway becomes, Max Holloway was already considered one of the all-time greats. He becomes one of the all-time legends in our sport in an iconic moment of flatlining Justin Gaethje to close out that fight. Holy shit. 4 minutes and 59 seconds into the fight. Buzzer beater, knockout. Fucking insane, AJ. Go off.
First of all, I just want to say, before I really, really go in on this, because I've been waiting. You already know I've been waiting to talk about this. I just want to give a moment to give huge props to Justin Gaethje. This guy had a title shot. He was going to fight Islam. He obviously now, and then obviously this chance comes up on a historic card, and he faces against Max Holloway, and that is for a lot of us, that is a dream fight, because you already know already seen both guys fight against Dustin. They're all three of them of that similar ilk. There is no quitting them, and they don't have boring fights. Gaethje has concussive power and is relentless in going forward. Max, just as much volume, goes forward, and Max has a iron chin. He has one of the greatest iron chins that we've ever seen. Unstoppable force, immovable object, going to collide. Looking basically back on this now, it's crazy to think that people were mad about this potentially being the main event of this card, saying it wasn't a big enough fight, considering what basically happened. But I want to give Justin Gaethje credit, because he didn't have to take this fight, and he did, and he always gives a great fight for basically us as fans. I just want to give him that, because he's really someone who kind of embodies anytime, anywhere. I just wanted to really give him his moment and really talk it out around as well. Now, the fight itself, even me, as much as a big Max fan as I am, I couldn't believe what I was watching, because I was watching a absolute clinic.
It's just so perfect.
Gaethje was chopping his legs up, and Max was still standing as if like, oh, it's fine. And you can tell his legs were getting beat up, but his striking was so crisp. He was being Gaethje towards the punch. Gaethje wasn't really getting much off, apart from in round 4. His movement was great. The way that he hit the spinning back kick, which busted Gaethje's nose.
Gaethje bent into that at least 5 times. He bent into that spinning back kick at least 5 times.
And you can tell they draw that saying whenever Gaethje does swing, he does go into his head a lot. So as much as Max is seen as his all-action fight, he's very technical. Like, you can tell his team does a really good job of dialing in homework on their opponents and drawing up really good game plans to set up things basically like this. Max was in full flow state. Like, you probably would have thought, okay, his greatest performance was probably going to be against Calvin Kattar. Max said, He moves up in weight to face against the number 1 contender, who's going to fight for the belt, who's coming off the best run of his absolute career ever since losing to Charles. He beats Rafael Fiziev. He beats Rafael Fiziev on the feet, who is one of the best Muay Thai strikers that we have in the sport. And then he absolutely flatlines Dustin Poirier last year in one of the best KOs that we've seen in recent memory. And as you said many times, this is the best that Dustin has basically has probably ever looked.
For sure.
And he's really going for the belt again for like a third time, which is absolutely crazy. Max goes out there and makes it not even close. Like, he's putting in an absolute masterclass on him on the feet. He's lighting him up on the feet, and he's very patient because he did have times where like he could have really gone for it. He was like, no, like, this is a 5-round fight. I'm going to break you. I'm going to cook you slowly. And in round 4, he gets dropped.
Yeah.
Granted, it was a fucking flash knockdown. Gaethje catches him. Max jumps straight back up. He wasn't rocked. He hit him on the temple. Balance went. Cool. He rolls under. He comes back up. Gaethje's rallying now, and Gaethje is really putting it on. And Max is still navigating, and he's still touching up a little bit. I still give round 4 to Max, even if you include that the knockdown. Round 5, he rocks Gaethje twice early on.
Yep.
Releases like a 50-piece bucket. Like, he literally gave him a bucket. Like, that was how many combinations he was teeing off on him. And then we get to the last 10 seconds. He's put on a virtuoso performance. He's won the fight. But Max is all about, I want to put on show for the fans. We're fighting for the BMF belt. Here. And we've seen him do it before. It isn't him just doing it just for the sake of it. We saw it against Ricardo Lamas. We saw it against, there was another fight as well. Arnold Allen, even. Like, he's like, we're going to meet in the middle. We're going to meet in the middle here.
Did he do it with the zombie too when he knocked him out?
I think he did it with Poirier as well.
No, yeah, him and Poirier. Well, they like agreed. They like Poirier pointed, and then he like acknowledged it, and then it was like them together doing it. But yes, I'm with you.
They also did it at the very end of the fight as well. I think Max here in the middle. So he's won the fight. He welcomes Gaethje to be like, okay, cool. I'm still going to give you a chance here because you've literally been the first guy to ever knock me down in my pro career, and you still have power. Like, we've seen Gaethje carry his power late. I'm going to meet you in the middle, and we're just going to see, like, man to man, who is really the baddest out there. 1 second left, he fucking sleeps him. He sends him to fucking bro. I can't fucking believe it. I couldn't believe it. I must have literally woke up my whole fucking road. Like, my whole house was fucking woken up. I was going fucking crazy. Our group chat was going fucking crazy. The whole world was fucking going crazy. And considering a few years ago, after losing against Volk in the third fight, people thought maybe Max's best days are now behind him. What's really out there for him? He's been main event in really big fight night cards, but he's really a main event, like a pay-per-view star, really still was one of the most popular fighters out there. And to now not only rebuild himself at 145 pounds by going out and beating the likes of Allen, Zombie. He moves up in weight. He fights against the third ranked lightweight at the time, the number 1 contender in everyone's eyes. To pull off a moment like that, I really don't care where you rank it right now, because we will see eventually in time where I feel this moment is. This is easily one of the best combat sports moments that I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Regardless about UFC, regardless about MMA, this is just combat sports across the board. That is one of the most greatest and just awe-inspiring moments that I've ever seen, because that right there epitomizes Max Holloway down to a T. Anytime, anywhere, and I'm gonna be all action, and I'm gonna go out there, and I'm gonna put moments in, and then and moving forward now, he's basically now like the kingmaker. He's ready to tell Ilya, I'm gonna you need to stop running away from me and fight me now. And
Ilya wanted no parts of that.
And Ilya, and you saw Ilya's face. That right there says a lot for someone who's been so confident and he's undefeated for a reason. That look there basically says that kind of tells me a lot. not basically only has he bookmarked that I'm basically gonna be next for the belt now at 145 pounds. He now has a claim at some point where if I go back up to 155 pounds, he has a strong case to say I should be fine for the belt next, because I literally put a clinic against the number one contender at the time, and I've iced him in one of the greatest moments that we've ever seen. And even on top of that, he is not only he's made the BMF belt legit now in a lot of people's eyes, because at the first it was like this is seen as as like a gimmick. Nate Diaz, Masvidal, seen as a bit of a gimmick at the time. It was cool, but we're not gonna take it seriously. Gaethje and Poirier kind of gave it a bit more credibility, considering what both the guys have basically now achieved. And Max is the epitome of that. Even with that now, Max has a chance in his next 3 fights to have a crazy run. And this is just like hypothetical here. He could easily go out there. He can potentially beat Ilya at 145 pounds, which is very, very possible. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, it's very possible. He can then, considering that most now of the other contenders, 145 pounds, he's beating most of them, because when obviously Volt was reigning, all the other guys were coming up. Max has already beaten. The only other fight 145 pounds is maybe a full Volt fight, just basically for him, just to say I can finally get one. But even then, he has a chance to say, and which is very rare, because you know me, when it comes to going up in weight and becoming champ, I feel you should at least clear it out. But Max has done it in a way, because him being like a massive star. He has a chance to go straight from potentially being Ilya, going straight into a title fight at 155 pounds, which is a tall ask. You face against the best fighter in the fucking world. But there's also a chance maybe at that point he may have moved up to go up to 170 to kind of cement his basic legacy as an all-time great as well. So there's a chance for, hypothetically, this is me shooting to the absolute moon here, Max could potentially go from 145 pound belt, moving up to 155, and then using the BMF, he could cash in and get a rematch against Conor. And that would be the most insane three-peat of fights
that would be crazy
that we could ever see. But regardless, the guy was already a Hall of Famer. Yeah. Now he's in verified air. Like as you said, he literally becomes a legend now. That is a legendary moment. And yeah. And brief and scene.
No, it was one of the all-time moments, and Max sets himself up in ways that people didn't think he could do again after the Volk trilogy and all that stuff. People didn't think Max could get back to the title. But he's made himself inevitable, and now more than likely he fights Ilya in Spain. And the way Ilya reacted to Max, there's a great chance Max becomes the champion at 145. And it just sets up a lot of doors for Max Holloway to potentially make himself one of the top 10 fighters in UFC history, potentially, maybe even higher if this goes to the moon, like you said. Incredible night for Max Holloway. Shout out to Justin Gaethje. Like you said, he put literally everything on the line, and that's why we love Justin Gaethje, is because we know that the first thing is he loves to fight, and he is willing to fight anybody, and he proved that again by putting his entire run on the line, and that's how it goes in fighting sometimes. But AJ, let's move on. We got Weili versus Jan. Weili wins by unanimous decision. She controlled a lot of the fight. I think we expected a little bit more from these ladies in some regards, but I think Weili fought a really good fight. There was a couple moments where she got pushed, and Jan looked good in moments herself. She knocked down Weili the one time. Thoughts on this fight, AJ? This was an interesting one. Two Chinese women going to battle.
I I love the fight. I personally love the fight because I probably out of all of the fights on the main card, this fight exceeded my expectations the most because I came here thinking Weili is probably going to put Weili for me is the best female fighter in the world and one of the best fighters on the planet, regardless of male or female.
Yeah.
Like she is fucking insane. She's just so good everywhere now. And I thought she would have been. I thought she would have been too much for obviously Yao Shannan, unless Yang Shannan rose to the occasion, considering that this is the first ever China versus China title fight with obviously a lot on the line because Yao Shannan was obviously the first Chinese fighter to obviously female fighter to obviously come into the UFC. Weili Zhang comes a little bit later on, kind of gets pushed, skyrocket very, very quickly. She becomes champion, she becomes this big star.
Yep.
And this fight was more than just a belt, it was bragging rights and kind of like history saying in terms of Chinese MMA. There was the first ever China versus China. This person won. And regardless of what happens, like after that, you always be remembered back home for that. And Jan definitely fought like as if that was on the line because round one, I thought she was sleep cooked.
Yeah, she looked good. Yeah, she looked out. She was done.
Done. Even before then, she was looking really good on the feet, but I was like, oh shit, like this is basically over now. And obviously, and I want to give you credit because you actually corrected me when we were talking about this at the time. Ice is okay to put on a fighter in order to.
Well, yeah, it was confusing because, the way the commentary team spoke about it, they thought they were using smelling salts. And then in the corner, you heard them say ice. And I didn't know you could shove ice up your nose and it worked like that. That was incredible news to me. But we were having that dialogue back and forth, and I had heard him say ice, so it was I learned something new. I didn't know that was possible.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if they need to be able to go back to the corner by themselves, like basically aided, and be able to come to. But I'll give all credit and obviously major thanks to you for obviously educating me on that. But then in round two, Yang Shannon is dropping Weili.
Right? She came back from that.
She came back from that and she's dropping Weili. But then even then, afterwards, Weili grabs her down and is raining down blows, and you're thinking this fight's done. There are so many unanswered shots here, and she's getting pummeled. And then she still managed to come back and drop Weili again later on in the fight, and then it takes Weili to be like, okay, cool. I'm tired now because you can tell that she's pushed herself twice to really go out and grab the finish. Adrenaline dump all over the gaff, right?
For sure,
all over the place. We know Weili has really good cardio. She can fight over 5 rounds, but then once you exert so much energy into getting the finish, it's really hard to come back from that because, especially over the course of a 5-round fight, if you're not able to grab stuff, if you're not able to put someone out of there, you use up so much, not only physically but like mentally as well. That's when you're at your most vulnerable. And Yang Jianan is keeping a distance and is picking the shots really well and is countering her and bringing her down. And where he's like, okay, on the feet, it isn't happening for me today. I'm too tired to be able to go and read these shots and move out the way in order to obviously unload and use my power. I'm still strong. I'm too tired to really contend well on the feet. This is MMA. I'm gonna make it MMA. She is able to use effective grappling in order to win. And that kind of shows championship level mindset, because it's all good being an all dominant champion when everything's going like your way. What happens when momentum changes and your back is against the wall? Are you able to respond when you're not at 100%, when you're not in full flow, when you are tired, you know, are you able to overcome these moments of adversity? And Whaley was able to do that. Very, very impressive from basically her. She still is, for me, still the best female fighter on the planet. And Yang Xiaonan has showed that she is now joining that elite club at the very top of the table, because
Yeah,
it was very impressive, very, very impressive. But I'm just even more impressive with obviously Whaley, because it's going to show. It's going to take quite something to beat her now. It's
for
going to take.
sure. She's like you said, she is the best female fighter going right now, and she went out and proved it again on Saturday night. AJ, here's the main event: light heavyweight title, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. You know, when you tell the ref to let me cook, and you move him away like that, and you knock him out with the next punch, you're one of the all-time greats. And I don't know how he does it, but he just keeps pushing himself higher and higher in regards of just the things he does. It's just all-time greatness. For I don't even know how. It's just wild. Well, I mean, Alex Pereira does it again. What are your thoughts? He said Herb. Give me a second, dude. Damn. Oh my God.
I have a lot to talk about when it comes to Potan, and just how incredible he is, and there is a lot. There's a few like details that I picked up, which I really want to go into. But before I do that, in all fairness, I want to say, Jamal, you will be back.
Yeah.
I'm not against. I know people give him a lot of stick because the way that he kind of came across before the fight. I saw someone who was just confident in himself, saying that, you know, I'm going to back myself here. I'm facing against an elite level striker here, who is obviously the champion. I was the champ. I never really lost my belt. In his mind, he felt like I am basically still the champion. He believed in his abilities, as he should, to feel like I'm capable of obviously beating this man, and he dared to want to beat him at his own game. It didn't come across as like disrespectful or like over arrogant to me. It was just someone who's being competitive, and we shouldn't really fault people for that. We shouldn't knock people down just because, you know, he believes he's capable of obviously beating Alex. It would have been different. Like, what's he meant to do? Just be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get knocked out. I'll just, or, you know,
I can't beat him.
yeah, or I'll just go out there and I'll just see. He sold the fight.
Yeah, no, I get it. It makes plenty of sense.
He sold the main event for me, and
yeah,
and he will be back. Him and Yuri, as we said, will be an absolute incredible fight to see. But I just wanted to kind of get that out the way, because this is all about Alex here.
Well, what you said though, and I'm just going to piggyback real quick. Sometimes we need those guys who are willing to, and this is just what comes to mind. I'm not saying that Alex is unbeatable, but sometimes you got to tug on Superman's cape and try and knock him off his perch. And I think that's what Jamal Hill was going out there to do. Is, you know, yeah, you're this guy and you're everybody's, everybody's guy right now. Tug. I'm here, and I'm willing to step up, and I'm willing to try to take you off that mantle. And yeah. I couldn't imagine somebody saying, well, I got a shot, if I get lucky. But no, he goes out there and he tugs on Alex's cape and he says, hey, I can step up and I can beat you. It just didn't go his way that night. No, I think you're 100% correct. But yeah, go into Alex, because that guy, like I said, could be Superman.
He is nothing short of incredible. Like, I don't think people understand, right? Yeah. If you just take away the power, if he had 40% less power, right, his level of kickboxing from a technical standpoint is ridiculous. Like, I can't really put into words how ridiculous of a kickboxer he is in terms of skill, and he kind of captured off in terms of the finish. He obviously gets hit with the nut shot. Herb Dean wants to obviously break up to see if he's okay. Alex doesn't break eye contact with Hill. He doesn't even look at Abdeen. He's like, no, it's cool. The reason why he's doing that is because he now knows he has a read on Hill, because Hill early on he was matching Pereira in terms of leg kicks. He was catching Pereira a little bit. His hand speed was still there. It wasn't landing flush, but he was able to get off like a few decent shots off. And with that, Alex felt like, okay, I now have a good read on you, and now I also have your back very close towards the cage. And that's where, and for someone who has immense power, that's basically where you want your opponent to be. If Herb Dean is able to go and break the action for, even it's for 5-10 seconds, Alex, he loses that read. He loses that read because Jamal Hill will be able to reset, and then both of them will have to go again, and it may take a little bit longer for Alex to obviously go and find that groove again. He finds the read, and the uppercut which he lands is Jamal Hill. It's like a shovel punch because he leaves his hands out wide, so far out. Yeah, he doesn't even generate that much wind up. He literally just sneaks the uppercut in, like, because he has so much power, because he's so long and he has so much torque. Even from all the experience in kickboxing, his ability to manage distance and gain reads is so good to go along with his absolute preposterous power. He's able to sneak in all these little shots that really go and put people away. We saw with Yuri. Yuri's running in, one little sneak left for someone who can take a head of a beating, lifts Yuri off his feet and basically drops him. One little swivel up, one little shovel up uppercut, which is just intricately so perfectly placed, lifts Jamal Hill off his feet. He's literally kicking his feet up in the air as he's going down, and the fight is done. The aftershots is him literally just making sure it's over. His celebration, the Kababy, he's a famous TikToker. Like, people do all these like crazy videos of like doing dumb shit, and he does this is how you should do it normally in a much easier way, and that's when he does the he basically does that. Yeah, exactly that. And funny enough, that very same TikToker was with a certain Adesanya recently, and Izzy was in the crowd. I feel like Pereira is always
Pereira never sleeps.
Yeah, like he's basically always still gonna have to throw like just like one little like jab at that. And also Jamal Hill actually spoke to Izzy on the phone about how to go.
That part does work for me. That's good play.
Yeah, so that kind of play that for me, that's probably the reason why Alex did that, and as well to say this guy thought that he can like stand me on the feet. I just want to say this now: if you were a light heavyweight and you want to win the belt, do not try to stand with this man no more. There is no point. There's no point of you trying to go out and make a point now. It is taken in UFC, right, to beat this guy, one of the greatest strikers that we've ever seen, who is basically on a similar level as him, who landed one of the greatest counter shots that we've ever seen. And during that moment, he was getting swarmed. It was pitch perfect. That was literally like,
it was a survival shot. Like, this is for my survival. The way Izzy threw that shot, like, I have to hit this or I'm done. Like, that was what it was.
And he's one of the few people who is capable of landing that. And he's one of the few people who is able to live with this guy on the feet. There's a reason why he is a multi-weight champion in Glory. The best kickboxers in the world fight over there, or like most basically of them anyway. There's a reason why he is that good on the feet. You don't need to go out and prove a point and anymore.
You're not impressing us by saying you're gonna stand with him. You don't have to impress us. Tackle this motherfucker and hold him down, because that's all.
Don't honestly get me wrong. Alex is very hittable because he knows that most times out of 10 he doesn't see a threat on the feet.
But he's wanting you to do that. That's part of his, because he's tempting you.
Because it kind of makes you, it falls you into a false sense of security, in the sense that, okay, he's very hittable. He stands very upright. I can go in. Next thing you know, left hook's hitting here, and it's over. He's just incredible. Like, he's only been in UFC for under 3 years. He's beaten five former. He's been five champions in a row.
It's
It's
insane.
absolutely ridiculous. He is incredible. As for what's next, any talk of heavyweight, at least right now, I would personally put that down to the side. And
It's
there's a
just
reason.
fun.
It is fun. I don't think it'd be fun if he fights Tom Aspinall right now. But that's just because Tom is bigger than him. Tom has speed and Tom has grappling. And
Yeah,
Tom
three
and
weeks is not enough time to
yeah,
fight Tom. It's
and
just not.
Tom isn't dumb. Tom wouldn't willingly just engage with him in a kickboxing match over 5 rounds. He will
No.
eventually take him down. But in terms of what's next, the light heavyweight belt is kind of been a mess over the past couple of years. Yuri won the belt. He got injured. He had to vacate. We had a vacant fight, Ankalaev and Jan. That fight ended up as a draw. It got messy personally.
Yeah,
Like afterwards, I thought Ankalaev won, but a draw was a draw. A month later, we had Hill against Glover. Hill puts on an absolute masterpiece performance. He wins the belt. He gets hurt, and then since then, we have had Alex move up to 100 to 205 pounds. He faces against Jan. He beats Jan. He then fights Yuri for the belt. He beats Yuri, and now he's defended Jamal Hill against it. I know that coming off a win against Johnny Walker doesn't make sense, but in terms of really clearing out, in terms of making the tile picture very much easier, clear again, and remove any kind of uncertainty, Alex has beaten 3 of the 4 guys surrounding the belt and ordered this mess over the course of the past 2 years. There's only one left now. Ankalaev makes sense, and also we also get a big question answered. Can Alex handle a world-class level grappler? As much as Ankalaev can fight on the feet, he's amazing in terms of his grappling.
Yeah.
If Alex is able to basically come through that and can really answer that question, then now, and after clearing out like the 4 biggest names at 205 and kind of clearing that whole title mess like fully and giving the division a very clean slate as it will, then there are a lot of possibilities for him moving forward. So very, very interesting times for him. And it's all kind of crazy. He's been in UFC for 2 years and he was headlining their biggest event ever. Crazy. Absolute crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that if he could beat Ankalaev, the conversation really turns into, okay, is this guy really, is he really is an all-time great, that kind of thing. If he could beat Ankalaev and move up to heavyweight, that's just something that we've never seen it before. And Cormier was talking about it. The guys were talking about it after the fight. I mean, it turns into, and that's the picture right there Tom posted, after the fight. It's really exciting, the potential of what we could get with this guy. We have to wait and see. I'm not gonna say it's impossible because, if Alex is healthy and wants to fight Tom, they might just give it to him because he's kind of earned it. He's kind of earned. Hey, take one. He's still the lightweight champion. I mean, I don't think it hurts anything to try, but it would be nice if he could, solidify the belt like you said, and then move up if he wants to move up.
Agreed. It's just I don't see anything good for him moving up to heavyweight. just don't see anything good for him up there.
Not right now. No, he'd have to go through camp and get to heavyweight and be comfortable there. I agree.
Even then, I just don't. It's just
he's huge.
He's huge, but Tom is massive, and Tom is too skilled.
Yeah, but him and Tom are the same. They're the same height. I mean, if he puts on weight in a good way and can do it and maintain it, I mean, I don't think he can beat Tom. I don't think he can, but it's really fun to try.
There's a puncher's chance. There's a puncher's chance there, but I don't give much more than that.
I'm with you. I think Tom beats him, but it's just you get to the point where, hey, you're this good. Why not try something new? I mean,
Also need to remember as well, he's 36, so he probably doesn't have a lot of fights left in him as well.
Right. That's why I think maybe this is probably, if you're going to try it, you try it now.
Granted, as you fight in the big weight classes, you kind of age a lot longer. But I would say he has a 18 to 24 month window.
I guess what's the difference though for you? Like, John Jones is 38. I mean,
John Jones is a 1-of-1.
Sure, but this guy seems like he's kind of a 1-of-1 in what's going on too.
He's a 1-on-1 in his own way, but I just feel he's
30. I mean, they're both 36.
He's very good in one area, and he's exceptional at it. I mean, truly exceptional at it. He's already in the short time he's been here, he's one of the best kickboxers this MMA has literally ever seen. Like, he is incredible. But this is, at the end of the day, this is still MMA. He has fought guys who have mainly fought his fight. If you're moving up in weight against someone who can beat you in a multitude of ways, you're kind of really asking that for problems. And even then, because really of his frame, he may just fight at around his natural weight anyway, which is around 230, 235. And Tom is a clean 255 to
Tom's a big fucking guy.
260. Problems. I always say this.
See, but also, yeah, go ahead.
I always say this, and this term is kind of more for like boxing, but it does apply to like all kind of combat sports in general for the most part. If a good big guy fights against a great little guy, I will always pick the little guy to win. But if a great little guy faces again a great big guy, I always go for the big guy. Mm-hmm. and that's kind of where my mind is at in terms of that potential matchup, or just any kind of matchup against any real elite heavyweight.
Yeah, I don't think he can beat Tom. Again, I understand that. It's just, I don't think we should stop somebody from daring to be all-time special.
Oh no, of course. Like, we should never deny someone who wants to dare someone to be great. I guess I'm just more on it, like, the timing isn't now.
If he could beat Ankalaev, then I'm with you.
There were a few moving parts as well, and also for Tom.
What's Tom doing?
Tom is kind of stuck because it's like, in an ideal world, he should be after the biggest prize, arguably in all of combat sports. The chance to be the guy who can go out and potentially beat the GOAT. But that right there isn't happening for him right now. I think for Tom, what Tom needs to do, he just needs to make sure that he kind of keeps his position as, I am the best active heavyweight right now. Find someone
he should be beating that drum every day.
Every day. Like, a fight with someone who is a weight class below, who's only defended the belt once, that doesn't make sense for him right now.
At least it'll be a fight.
It'll be a fight, but then he's going to be fine anyway. He's going to be fine soon anyway, because there is an event in Manchester, and he's going to probably be headlining that. So
I hope so. I hope he gets a fight. But hey, AJ, UFC 300 fucking epic, all-time special. There's not enough words to describe how insanely awesome that card was. Any last thoughts before we get out of here, buddy? Bam. And then he just, oh my God.
No, please like and subscribe, or else one of us will find you and we'll do this in real life.
I'm more likely to shoot for a takedown and then try to ground and pound. So watch the legs if you see me.
Say no more.
All right, guys. This has been HOA MMA. We appreciate you guys. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys next week. Out.